Um, but it's not that, like, I think he's a fake or anything like that. Cause I mean, I've seen some shit that's came on him that I think is legit, like that whole where he bought that house in Ohio where they had the family that like the protective services workers and the state
Well, right,
police.
because the whole family was like scared to death. It'd be
Right,
hard
that
to have the whole family act that out.
and outside people too.
Right.
Like it wasn't just like the family, it was the priest, the protective service worker, the police that responded, the hospital workers, like they all reported like this was some not right shit. So I do believe that like his cameraman may have got possessed. I don't think none of that shit's bullshit. But what drives me nuts about the motherfucker is you go in there asking to see some shit, and then when it starts showing some shit, you run out the fucking door. That's what bothers me.
Well, my thing is because they fucking act like um they're just immediately disrespectful. I don't understand that. To me, when you go in shouting, even if there was somebody living, like that's rude. Why would you just go in there with your chest out like you're some big man? I don't understand his approach. Welcome back, everybody. What's on the agenda today, Amber?
Well, you asked everybody a question that I thought that would be good for us to respond to. You asked everybody if they thought that all paranormal activity was demonic, was really demons, or if people think that there is separate energy, like, you know, humans or earthbound spirits, or is there a difference or not? You also said that you thought that you were leaning more towards that everything is demonic.
Right. But I will say I blame that on my husband because that's what he thinks, and that's the stuff he tells me all the time.
A lot of people do. And the thing about a subject like this is that a lot of people do have that belief because it's tied into their religious belief. And those types of things, people, because it is tied into a religious belief, you can't change it. Like they're always going to think that you could present like factual evidence, like scientific research or whatever in front of them, and they're still not going to accept it because
Right.
that goes against their faith. And that there's nothing anybody can do about that. Um,
Yeah, my
I've
mind
always
isn't totally made up on, like, I'm not there, but I'm still open to neither one would surprise me. There
the
could be
reason
both, there could be just one.
the reason I'm not there is there is some scientific research that has proved like poltergeist activity. They have done lots of research and experiments that they really do think that poltergeist activity is generated from teenage girls. Like when they're getting ready to start their period, that's such a big energy shift that they can actually expel the energy out and not knowing it and make things move. Um, I was reading a, I was reading that there was some um, research being done by some pretty big schools like Harvard and Yale and like, you know, Ivy League schools that they have they're leaning more towards things like tele, telekinesis is a real thing that you can either unknowing or knowingly project your energy to be able to move things.
Is that what
They
telekinesis is?
Yes. Um
I was
so
getting
much
that confused with, like, probably the psychic thing.
so much so that the military is looking into capabilities on it. Like that's you can find like conspiracy theorist type stuff that's linking like military research to telepathy and telekinesis. And if they're proving that things that we all thought were like ghosts at one time are more human interaction with our environment than something demonic, then that, of course leans me towards not everything is we just don't know or don't have an understanding of what it is yet.
Right. I also feel that, or think that, if we are energy, then we should be able to be ghosts. Because if you're energy, then it doesn't make a difference, you know? You're still energy.
Well, there's a whole, like physics thing that also says the same thing, that energy doesn't stop, it just changes form. So if we are in essence just energy machines that do nothing but create energy all day, and physics tells us that that energy doesn't really go anywhere, it just changes form. Where does it go? Is that in essence what our soul is? Is that like little spark of energy that got us started? Which doesn't take away from religious belief of, of a creator. It actually would lean more towards that there is, because it had to start somewhere.
Right. I never thought of it that way.
Not that, I know anything. I don't know jack shit about what happens after we
Me either.
die. Please don't think that I'm trying to sway religion or anything, but
We
that's
are
just how
not
I think about it.
professionals.
No, not at all. That's just how I think about it. That's what makes sense to me. And
That would make sense, though.
and
That
living
little spark that gets you.
living in that house, I think it was very apparent that the energy was completely different in the upstairs. Like there was still weird stuff that happened upstairs, but
It
it
wasn't
did
as scary upstairs.
it was more playful.
It was like
Like,
heavy downstairs.
yeah, downstairs it made you sick. Your stomach hurt. You couldn't stay down there very long. You literally felt sick. You come upstairs and that it felt like 100 pounds was lifted off of you.
I don't remember feeling sick, but I do remember a heavy feeling and always feeling like something or somebody was always watching me, even like if it was just me and you standing there. And there, because it wasn't a big basement, so you could
Mm-mm.
see like the whole area basically.
Except for that little, there was two parts of it that you couldn't see. One was a room that no matter what we did, or the electrician, even when the electricians came in, they couldn't figure out why, but you could never get a light to work in there. And then that little boarded up spot that really was only like a foot and a half wide. It wasn't very
Mm.
big, but it was creepy.
The demonic energy could be like, they say that they toy with you. They could just be pretending to be like nice
But
in one area, or maybe there's a meaner one in another area.
that's putting a human characteristic on something that was supposed to be supposedly never human. I don't really know
But they're
what
just
was.
pretending though. They're not actually.
Do I think that like demonic entities will appear to you as something that does appeal to you? Like,
Yeah, that's
um,
what I mean.
yeah, I believe that to be 100% true.
I
But
obviously didn't say it correctly, but that's what I meant.
um, another thing that makes me think that there is different entities is if you do any research in like how the Bible got written, like what things were combined, and um that they were pretty much just giving a blanket term to all different types of spirits that were in oral stories that were being passed down. They did the same thing with Lilith. she's a combination of like three different characters or four different characters, and they just kind of like shoved all those qualities and called her Lilith, and that was it. Um, are you doing any research into that? There's a extremely broad spectrum. Like there's lots of, though this is according to this book that I read, but like there was lots of little like helper spirits that were kind of put here to nudge us along. And they would create turmoil so you would, go the opposite way. But they weren't malicious. They weren't trying to hurt you. It's just kind of like, okay, I have to cause chaos here to veer you where you're supposed to be. Or another type was pretty much like be the equivalent of Loki, like just to cause chaos, has no other function, just make your life just a complete mess, but still isn't going to like take your soul or anything like that, or like completely like drive you to opt out, um, or anything like that. Just come in, shit on your life, and then leave. And like all of those got jumbled into one name. And when I did research into like how the church performs exorcisms, the exorcist interview that I was listening to said that it's it doesn't happen very often, but God will permit a soul to come back to help like an ancestor or a family member that needs a little guidance. Like that does happen. And it would make sense because you don't not every house they get called to do they exercise.
Right.
So so if everything was a demon, then it would stand to reason that they would perform exorcisms at every call they got, and they don't. Now, like look at the little family. I don't know why it's escaping me at the moment.
A what? A family?
It was a family. It took them like a long time. Um, maybe yeah, maybe it was the Amityville or house. It took them a long time. Like the priest came in, knew that there was something messed up there, and was like, "Just don't go in that room."
Oh, I don't know what that is. Just don't go there. Just don't open the door. You're good.
Don't go in that room. But he said, "Don't let anybody sleep in that room."
I'd be like, the fuck? No.
How about we just don't live in this
No
house?
shit. Like, you think that door's gonna stop anything?
I think as we come to a better understanding of how like the universe works, because in the scheme of things, we haven't explored all that much of that.
No.
The more we understand about that and how the universe works and how things were made, I think we're going to have a better understanding of the things we can't explain, like even up like to demonic possession and things like that. And the more that technology advances, we're catching more and more stuff, and they're able to record and track more and more data. Like, I'm curious, so you and I play a lot of ghost hunting games,
Mm-hmm.
and all of those you're collecting specific evidence to identify a ghost type. I wonder if that has some basis of truth,
You mean like there's really different ghost types?
and that would give you different physical evidence.
Oh, that scared me. What was that?
My phone.
Holy shit.
I did look it up, and the only thing that I could find were those Harvard and Yale studies and like about like telekinesis and even like into pyrokinesis or just being able to start a fire. I couldn't find like a demon, you get like an EMF level 5, freezing temperatures. You know, like they'll write in a book or something like that.
That'd be so much easier if they would just cooperate that way. Then we wouldn't have so many questions.
Can you just like write in the book and tell us about it? I think these types of conversations always end in a big I don't know.
Yeah, because it is a big I don't know. I don't think we're meant to know. It'll be really disappointing if we don't find out even after we're dead.
I
At least to me, I'd be like, oh man.
I don't know if this was a movie or like a show I watched, but that's what it was. Is that like the bright white light you see when you die is you enter coming out and being born again. Like there is no, you just do it again. When I was doing research for when we were gonna do an episode on past lives and like people that say that they can remember past lives and things like that, there was a story in the guy's research. It wasn't really related to it. It was just a really good story. But he said that it was a not a past life memory, but like he remembered the interim, and it was he died for a significant amount of time. Like, I don't remember if it was like he fell in cold water or like his heart stopped during surgery. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was more than like 2 or 3 minutes that he was no longer alive. And they brought him back, or he just came back. I'm not exactly sure. But he said in the interim, what it wasn't like a picture book playing back his memories. It was he felt every emotion that he had ever caused in another person.
Oh damn. That would be a twist, wouldn't it?
That makes sense to me. That like made perfect sense to me because I've always been like, how can you really be punished when you don't have a body to feel pain? Like even psychological pain, you're going to get used to after a while.
Right.
But that right there would be the ultimate karma. You feel everything you ever caused. And we worry about if serial killers get, justice in the afterlife. I think that would do it.
Shit, if for no other reason, that needs to be a thing for people like that.
The people that do horrible things to children.
Mm-hmm.
If people thought that way, I bet you they would do things a whole lot differently. Another thing, going back to our topic,
What topic was that?
um, you live very close to a very documented um, example of a residual haunting. There's tons of videos of like Gettysburg ghosts, what are just soldiers like in a time loop where the energy is just imprinted. That's not demonic. That doesn't even know that you're there. There was one I seen that um, it would be really hard to fake because the people weren't even, they were filming like their dogs running in the field, and you just catch it in the background. And it just looks like white mist of men walking into the trees. But it's very clear of what it is, and
I
it
think
and
I've
it
seen that.
and it's not like there's no setup feeling to it. You can tell in the video that they're on vacation at Gettysburg and they're just filming the battlefield, and like their dogs are running around in it, or maybe it was their children, not their dogs, but it was a very like they weren't even focused in on where the activity was. It was just they happened to catch it when they watched it back. And I always thought that was really compelling because why would you edit that into like this wholesome family home video? That would just be weird.
Right.
Um, but that and that type of thing gets recorded and reported a lot, where it's like like in hospitals where it's like an operating room in full swing, and they're just completely oblivious that there's anybody in the room. They're just reenacting one like scene over and over again. um it just came to my mind and then left again.
That seems sad to me, though. The residual things. Like, if somebody's really, like, reliving, I don't know, that just seems.
Think about horrifically horrifically tragic events that have happened in history. Like, even one of our favorite YouTubers, Mr. Ballin, tells a story from a member of the military that was like completely believing that there was like a full on onslaught attack going on and there was nothing there. And he wasn't the only one that experienced that. Now, people in the military are they're trained not to, believe into that type of stuff. That if it's not facts, it's not happening. But like the everybody there heard, seen all the same things, and there was nothing there. It
That's
it
wild.
was just a battle reliving itself, like the energy in a loop.
I have heard
I
that several times, though, I think. Like, about the battling and stuff.
think
I
about
would like to go
places
visit that place. I really would.
think about places like in Europe that were involved with the Holocaust.
Ooh.
Can you imagine the energy that's trapped there?
Oh, God. That has to be absolutely.
I sent you some pictures of some pretty creepy pictures where people have taken there, and that's a sad thought that energy is still stuck in that place. The earthbound spirits, like the soul, is actually attached to that energy, and they're stuck in that loop for eternity, which would be horrific. Or if it's just like a movie, like just a flicker that's stuck.
Right.
I think it's a very good question. Like I would like to I
That's
like
why
to
nobody's responding. They're like, I don't know either, bitch. Nobody knows.
why don't you tell us?
I wish I could. I know what I will do, though. If I fucking get some good type of evidence on any of it, I will be sharing it.
It's like that meme. I think I actually posted in the Facebook group. It was, if you get attacked by a ghost, I will be filming it and using it as evidence.
I didn't even fucking see that meme. Where the fuck was that? Oh my god.
It was a while ago I posted that.
That's funny. That's very true, though.
I mean, what do
Like,
you get
just
really
hold on. I gotta get the camera real fast. Don't die yet.
I think video we should react to is that dude that stayed in the house with the radio turned on and like the door slammed behind him,
The
like get
radio
out.
turned on.
And it was like an old timey radio that had like a turn click, and he's sitting in the living room like doing an EVP session, and the radio turned on. You're
Was
the
it?
one that sent me the video.
Girl, my brain. I don't remember shit. I remember a video like that. I can't, like, the person's name and channel.
But yeah, I think we should react to that one because there was a whole lot of nope, nope, no, no. Like the rocking chair upstairs moving like somebody was rocking on it.
Oh, yeah. No, see, that shit creeps me out in games, so it's definitely gonna creep me out.
It always reminds me of the bike tires on Washington Street where they would
Yeah,
stop.
that was scary
And then
enough.
started going again. Stop. Went the opposite way. Like, yeah, I think we're gonna go upstairs.
No, the part when you feel like the breeze is the part that got me every time. I was like, what in the fuckity fuck? Because there's no fucking windows in that basement.
There was a whole lot about that basement I didn't like where it sounded like somebody ran up behind me and went "Psst" in my ear when I
Oh
was
my
doing
god,
laundry one
I
day.
heard that at my mom's.
Mm.
I'm sure I've told you over the years, but I've heard that at my mom's. I was like, the corner in the bathroom right by the door. I was like
Mhm.
bending down to grab my clothes after the shower to open the door and leave. And I heard a in my ear, and every hair on my arm stood up. I stopped. I was like, "What was that?" And then I just left the bathroom like,
Like
okay.
like experiences like that where it was just like one like isolated thing makes it always makes me think that maybe there is some truth about them just, we're just gonna these all are similar, so we're just gonna lump them all in and call them demons. That may be true. Because that
Right.
kind of seems like something that's just fucking with you. There was
Like it
so
wasn't
many
just the sound, like it was in my ear. Oh, it's hard to explain. I still remember it. It was a long time ago. And I'm a very forgetful bitch. I remember that because it scared the fuck out of me. I didn't say a word to nobody though. I was just like, okay, but it didn't happen.
if it was like on Washington Street, if it was just a demon like playing tricks all over the house. The one thing my family did that I loved that completely like knocked its power right out is they try to isolate you. Like don't talk about it, people think you're crazy type shit. We
Right.
was always talking about that shit, like inviting people over, like, did you see that shit?
You
Like
scaring the neighborhood. You're like, nope, I'm gonna let everybody in on this. Do you see that?
I can't be crazy. You see that shit right now? Feel like that's fucked up, isn't it?
That's funny.
I'm not really the neighborhood, but like we never like
I
not
know.
had people around and
Yeah, there was, and they would always disappear, and it would just be us. Nobody ever like hung out and played with. Well, at least not with the Ouija board. They're like, no, you bitches have fun. We got somewhere to be.
I think the reason why people left is when people started realizing that, um, like when they were catching like movement on it when nobody was touching it, like we would all stand
Mm-hmm.
around talking like off on the side of the room and it would move.
They were getting
Or
scared, and they
yeah,
didn't want to admit it.
as that happened quite a few times, or there was constantly randomly things like you put something somewhere, you just set it beside you and it's gone. And you look over and it's like across the room on a table. Like, I know damn well I didn't get up and walk over there.
That feeling, I can't describe it. That feeling that you like when you're touching it and it's moving. I know you have to know the feeling because
That
you did it.
whole it kind of feels kind of like when your hand after your hand falls asleep and when it's starting to wake up again and you got that little pins and needles, but it's cold.
I don't
That's
remember it
what it felt to me.
tingling,
I
but I
had like a
remember having more of like a pull, like energy with the planchette.
I know that it whatever entity was there when we stopped playing with it didn't like that we didn't stop playing with it. Like we would find it like in the morning on the table, like all laid out, and I just put it away. Like no, nobody's talking to you no more. Go away.
Yeah, we really weren't smart with that. It was like a weekly thing, and we like created so much negativity in that house.
To the point that it still stands empty. Nobody can live in it.
Like we just fed it constantly.
I would love to at some point buy that house for nothing other than research purposes. Like just set up cameras throughout the entire house and leave it empty and just
Ooh, that
either
would be so interesting. Of course, you know how many crackheads you'd probably see in there.
oh, they've got it like, oh, it's like doesn't look anything like it did when I lived there. It's like way nicer. And like there's a gated like the driveway isn't all open. Like people really if you're dumb enough to like jump the fence and stuff like that, but like you could have it to where like if the outside doors or like a window break happen that the police respond. and it would be under surveillance, like heavily 24/7 and live streams. You'd get
Oh,
caught. Go ahead and
hang
break
on.
into that motherfucker. I would like to do that. Just buy Washington Street, have it all wired up with cameras 24 hours a day, like the 360 cameras, and
Yeah, that'd be
just
cool.
record it and live stream. Just we used to watch a library that had one of those.
I was just gonna say the same thing. What? Oh, sorry, my chair's noisy. What was that? Wasn't it like the Gray Lady? But I forget what library. I know the
And
ghost hunters have went there. I'm sure other paranormal investigators have, but that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But now I can't remember what the name of the fucking library is.
I don't remember what it was either, but we used to do that shit for hours back when it was dial up.
I know. I couldn't even imagine doing that shit now. Like, the fuck was I thinking? Oh gosh.
So if anybody is, wondering how long we've been interested in this shit, forever,
Since
forever.
dial up. Oh god.
We seen our first paranormal video and was like, what? Oh, that didn't exactly help the. Oh no, that was before I lived in Washington Street because we were watching that stuff when you lived in Jackson.
Mm-hmm. I think it became more on that at that house, but that's probably just, because of the shit that went on at the house.
I had uh, experiences when I was a kid that like with my parents, so I knew I wasn't crazy. That or like my just my imagination of being a little kid because my parents were like, "No, we seen that shit too." Um, that was pretty fucked up, wasn't it? Yeah, I know what that was. Can't tell you. But like there, we lived in an apartment one time, and there was a man standing in the bathroom door, and he was there often. And like the shadow of the man, like, but yeah, it rushed at my stepdad, and that was something still to this day, like you can tell it shook him.
That
Like he's
scared the fuck out of me. I
like
feel like
he starts shaking when he tells people about it. You can, I mean, he doesn't accept that it wasn't real. Like you cannot convince him that ghosts don't exist because he will tell you otherwise. But yeah, I seen that entity. I seen it sitting at the end of my bed once and then standing in the doorway. And then my stepdad said that it like rushed him. And at one point he was held to the bed by it.
that's
But,
scary. That raises another
but
question though. Do you think that they can actually harm the living?
yes. But I also think that something demonic can use energy to fuel itself, then a earthbound spirit could probably do the same. So I'm not 100% because like it never. We lived in that apartment for a long time. My mom was never attacked. I was never attacked. It was more protective over us. And my
Well, in that
stepdad,
case, then that could have been like,
a relative,
yeah.
or like ancestral. No, no, we're not having that stuff we're going on around here.
I don't think so, motherfucker. I'm scared
I
the
mean, and
daylights out of you.
you know the person and what he's
Right.
like, so it completely makes
Completely
sense
understandable, yes.
that it may have been more of a protection thing than something demonic. But yeah, it straight up held him to the bed, like, we're not doing this today.
Of course, I mean,
So
if they can move things, I guess maybe it is possible that they could harm you as well.
if they can, I've seen videos, and I hope that these are fake. I really do, because just the thought of something being able to turn on your stove and leak gas in your house while you're sleeping.
Oh god, that's fucking scary.
You see what I'm saying? You know, I've seen YouTube videos and stuff where it lights the stove and like it's trying to catch the kitchen on fire. But if it really wanted to kill you, it just leave the gas on.
Like the movie Annabelle. I think that happened, something like that, a fire or something in the kitchen.
There's one I
Never mind.
seen that I think I know it's fake because where they show the entity, it's obviously like a Photoshop blob in it, but just it raises the, like in the part where like there's a knife on the counter and it disappears, and then the knife like just reappears and it's flying at the dude's head. If it can turn on a light or a radio, then why couldn't it do that? See, I do believe that even like non-demonic entities could hurt you if they wanted to.
Yeah. I guess that's why they're scary, because you don't know. You don't know what they can do. You don't really know what it is. We're all just guessing. Nobody fucking knows. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Nobody fucking knows for sure.
Right. And that's where it falls down to like a belief structure and why you can't change people's minds one way or another. If they have that idea that is part of their faith, you're not going to change that. Or the only thing that is going to change that is if they have experiences like we have, that there is no explanation, and the only explanation is that uh,
Something fucked up
uh,
just happened.
something else is causing that I can't see. You can feel it.
You can. That's the thing
Some
that gets me. I'm like, okay, well, if it's fake, then how? What is this? That the feeling?
Sometimes you can smell it.
Mm-hmm.
You can most definitely hear it. The only thing you can't do is see it. Have you seen those hunting videos where they catch like legit looks like the predator, like in like invisible mode, like that effect that the wraith has when he's running around invisible,
Uh-uh.
like that, like in trees and shit like that, like it's a fucking predator.
That is fucking creepy. Well, I bet you. Mm, yeah, I bet you that's how they do hide. We just don't ever catch
Well,
them.
it's one of those things. Is it are what we experience really like what we would call ghosts, which would be somebody that has died and just their soul or their spirit or whatever you want to call it is stuck and they're still able to interact with you? Or are these things that we're interacting doesn't have anything to do with any religious structure that we have and they're more like interdimensional beings? Because that's what I think the mall incident leans more towards. And that's what I think they're fucking with out in Skinwalker Ranch is I don't think it's necessarily an alien, just something from another dimension. And even our physics that we know, it leaves the possibility that that is a possibility. Then you can go into all those damn Mandela effects too, where they think that that CERN thing shifted us into a slightly different dimension. And that's why,
I
like,
don't know, but that shit's
that's
weird.
that's why we remember it one way, but then people that happened like around that or that were born after the time that that shift supposedly happened or whatever, they don't remember it that way.
That's just, I don't know. That shit's so crazy. Like too much. My mind can't wrap around that idea.
I'm starting to think that the conspiracy theorists aren't really conspiracy theorists anymore. Well, that's good. It'll keep this channel going for a long, long time.
Give us something to talk about.
Be like newscasters. Did you see that fucked up shit? Oh,
Did you see that alien down there at Kroger? We laugh now, and like not that long, that's how it's gonna be.
well, our generation has always been kind of obsessed with that. Think about like all the TV shows that's exactly what that's about. There was a show called Alien Nation when we were a kid, and that was like Some
Why does that
aliens
sound familiar?
because like everybody loved that show and like everybody forgot about it, but it was like aliens that crash landed or something like that on Earth, and they just kind of like integrated into our society. And milk got them drunk, and I think water would kill
Damn.
them.
I do not remember that.
What was what?
Boiled milk and salt water.
Boiled milk got them drunk, and salt water would kill them. Of course, my husband knows that. Also,
He's
the
like, no,
Star,
you got it wrong. This is how it is.
but Star Trek was huge. That's when Star Trek and Star Wars got popular. Was within our generation. Like we're obsessed with that shit. The interdimensional travel or being able to travel at great speeds and
Back to the Future, baby.
yeah, that's another example, Back to the Future. And that was a huge movie. There's a conspiracy theory that they think that Donald Trump and his son Barron like are time travelers, and that's something to do with Nikola Tesla's research that was either bought or willed or given to Donald Trump's uncle or something like that. And but there was a book that was written like in the 1800s where the dude's name is Donald and like the other dude's name is Barron, and they live in New York, and it's like mirrors Donald Trump and his son, like, and they think that that book is like instructions uh the doctor left in Back to the Future for him to find him in the Old West. That's what they think that book is. That's a pretty crazy theory.
Yeah.
But
Haven't heard
there's
that one before.
that I mean they're stretching, but there's also that book that was written about a dude getting eaten, and like the book even had it right down to the name of the dude that was he was it was like a shipwrecked boat, and they're like castaways, and they ate a cabin boy, and the cabin boy's name, which I cannot remember, it like the whole scenario actually happened like years and years later, like right down to the dude's name that got eaten was the same as it was in the book.
Oh, that's creepy.
That's a good story. I wish I could remember. I'm pretty sure if I searched that I could find that, but that is a good creepy story of the what makes you think exactly how long these Mandela effects have been going on.
I don't like those. I just don't like them. They fuck with my head. I'm like, no. I swear. Makes me feel
I,
like I'm crazy.
I don't give a fuck what anybody says. That movie, the Shazam one, that's complete
Shazam.
bullshit. You never heard the Mandela effect about the movie Shazam?
Mm-mm.
That they're saying that
Not that I remember, anyhow.
that Shaq never did a movie called Shazam where he played a genie. That
Oh,
was
the fuck
really
he did not. Whatever. Yes, he did.
see.
I didn't even watch it, but I know. I remember.
They're saying that never happened. That
That's
that
like
doesn't
saying
exist.
Rob Williams never played Mrs. Doubtfire.
That
I
that
need to
never
shut
happened.
up because they're gonna tell me that didn't happen next. I'm like, the
Oh, bullshit! Oh, bullshit!
fuck.
Oh, bullshit! I love that little boy meme. Oh, bullshit!
If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and ring that little bell to get notified every time we upload. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, bye.
Bye.